Hello?
Hello there. How are you, Candace?
I'm good. How are you?
All right, all right.
Am I the only one here?
Oh no, there's a bunch of us, but we are live on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Hello, Randy.
Hi, Carrie. How are you?
Good. Is anybody there?
Yeah, there's about a dozen of us.
Okay, good.
Domingo?
Yes, sir.
Are we going to call the public meeting to order or the public hearing?
Yes, why don't you do me? Could you read the heading and then I'll go from there?
Okay. Public notice of the appropriation hearing held remotely on Tuesday, March 23rd, 2020 at 6:30 p.m. as permitted by Executive Order 2020-07, signed by Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker on March 16th, 2020 in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Remotely, download the Zoom app or call 312-626-6799. Appropriation webinar ID of 825-2953-2463 with a password of 550021.
Okay. I guess we can go to 1 and then we come back to 2.
Sure.
We call this meeting to order. I guess we need a roll call, correct?
No.
No? All right. Could you read the reading of public notice, please?
Public notice is hereby given that there will be a public hearing for the appropriation for fiscal year beginning January 1, 2021 and ending December 31, 2021 for the City of Blue Island to be held on Tuesday, March 23rd, 2021 at 6:30 p.m. to consider the following agenda. Call to order, reading of public notice, public comment on appropriation document, adjourn. A copy of the proposed appropriation ordinance is available for inspection in the office of City Clerk at City Hall, 13051 Greenwood Avenue, Blue Island, Illinois.
Okay.
City Clerk.
City Council, how do you want me to proceed from here?
So I did receive one public comment to be read.
Okay. Go ahead.
We need the finance chair and the alderman to direct Blue Island taxpayer dollars to our roadways. We need our Blue Island taxpayer dollars directed toward necessities that include advanced life-saving services, Blue Island Fire Department equipment, Blue Island Police equipment, department body cameras, and the Blue Island roadways. 2021 appropriations needs to put money into advanced life-saving services, Blue Island Advanced Life-Saving Service ambulance and fire trucks, Blue Island Police Department body cameras, roadways, upgrade Blue Island City Hall cybersecurity, upgrade audio at City Hall, and implement 20% water rate rollback. Appropriations is the biggest part of critical process to get the people's work done. Aldermen and the Finance Committee have failed to take up review and pass a 20% water rate rollback as promised. Blue Island taxpayers waiting long enough. Aldermen, it's up to you to please review and get 20% water rate rollback passed for Blue Island water consumers and put the money where it needs to go in the 2021 appropriations. The April 6, 2021 election has started.
City Clerk, and who sent that in, please?
Excuse me, Carol Green.
Thank you.
All right. Nothing else. I guess we go now to adjournment, correct?
Unless.
Well, Mayor, this is Kerry Horvath. You should, I realize that the city clerk read the one public comment that was presented, but you should just go on record and asking if anyone that's present from the city council has any comment they would like to make at the public hearing at this point in time. And then you can close the meeting after that, okay?
As Mayor of the City of Blue Island, again, via the council from our attorney, are there any members of the city council present who have any questions regarding the appropriation document? If yes, you let us know.
This is Alderman Stevo. May I be heard, please?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Is there a line item for the new aerial fire truck and the new ALS ambulance that was discussed at committee meetings?
Chief Frieda, did we put in the aerial truck? I know we discussed the ambulances, but I was not sure about the aerial truck. I can't remember.
Yeah, the payments, you guys set aside $175,000 for payments. I believe it's in line item 8050, and that would be for an engine, truck, and ambulance, potentially.
So, Chief, it's regarding 3 pieces of equipment, correct?
Yeah, the direction was if we could try and get all 3 for that amount, then proceed. That was, I actually have quotes for financing for 3 right now, and we're actually a little bit under the 175 that was allocated in that line item. So, but yes, that is correct.
All right. Thank you very much.
Alderman
Any other-
Rita, I have a
Go ahead.
question.
Go ahead.
Has the city entered into any negotiations with the fire department over ALS?
I'll let the city attorney comment on that one.
Yes, we have. We received direction from the city council as to what we would be permitted to do concerning schooling for three paramedic candidates. And we entered into a memorandum of understanding to address the payment of tuition and fees, as well as overtime that may be incurred by those three candidates and in other individual firefighters that would have to fill their shifts when they are at school. That was the extent of the authority the city council gave us, and we entered into a memorandum of understanding with respect to that portion of the ALS service. It's probably been more than approximately a month ago. Is that correct, Chief Rita?
Yes.
That's
Any
as
other
far as
questions?
you've allowed us to go at this point.
All right. Any other questions from anyone?
Yeah, it's Jim Clinker. Can
Go
I
ahead,
talk?
sir. Go
So
ahead.
I brought up questions. I've been bringing up questions about finances. I've been bringing up the fact that the finance committee really hasn't even seen this document until 3 weeks ago. I have a bunch of questions which I've forwarded off to Chairman Donahue regarding revenues and how these numbers were actually, who came up with them and how they came up with them. Some of them seem kind of high to me compared to past years. So I just want to go on record as saying that. Once again, we didn't get this until 3 weeks ago. And there's a lot of information to look at. I really wish we had gotten a chance to look at it earlier because I could have asked my questions a month or two ago instead of what appears to be last minute. But I've sent my questions off to the chairman, and I believe he was trying to get a hold of, is it Chris from the accounting firm, to see if he could come up with some kind of answers.
All right, thank you. Anyone else?
Mayor, Alderman,
Yes,
Alderman, I just want really,
Yeah, go ahead,
I'm
Alderman
sorry.
Donahue. Go ahead, Alderman Donahue.
I don't think Chris is on yet, but he should be on for city council with hopefully some of those answers. Because I've not heard back from him, but I was pretty sure he was going to be on for the full city council, Alderman
Right.
Clinker.
Okay, thank you. All right, Alderman Rita, go ahead.
Okay, so my first question is, do we need to re-ask these questions during council meeting? That's kind of a dumb question, but just wondering.
I guess once it goes up to vote or before the
So when-
agenda, you will be able to discuss that during
When the
finance.
finance, when the
Yes.
finance guy's on, okay. And
Yeah.
then also, did the finance committee, were they ever able to obtain a copy of the revenue expenditure report? I know that you guys were trying to get it for quite a long time. I'm just wondering, did you ever obtain that report?
Chairman Donahue?
We have obtained reports, but even all the way up until when we started the actual appropriation, the numbers were still inaccurate, and Chris had to go through and update some of them because they were miscoded in the ledger. However they got entered were wrong, and so I think that a lot of that got cleared up a week ago. And there are still some outstanding questions about revenue, but a lot of these revenues are projections. And I think historically, if you go back and look at why the numbers were set where they were set, was because historically we expected, okay, we're going to make this much off of property tax. We're going to make this much off of gaming revenue, this much off the parking lots. Obviously, I don't have to tell this to anyone. We've been living in a pandemic. The last year, we had bars, restaurants closed for 8 months. No one's going to work. No one's taking the train. So that stuff took a major hit. Hopefully now in 2021, with vaccines starting to roll out, different things, we'll be able to go back to where we thought we were going to make this money back. And just that, and I don't think it's something we're always going to rely on, but Congress did pass a huge relief program, and Illinois municipalities are looking to get, under the relief bill that passed a couple weeks ago, Illinois municipalities will be sharing on $5.5 billion to offset lost revenues due to the coronavirus pandemic. Blue Island did very well under the CARES Act, which we were able to make up some of the lost revenue and pay for some other things. And I think whenever we get our share of the, I can't think of the name of the plan they called it, the Restoring America plan or fixing, whatever the ones that just passed. So whenever we get our share of that, I think that'll be money the city council is going to be brand new and potentially all new leadership at the top will be able to use that money to plug in these holes if the revenues are still down from the economy being sluggish or reopening. So I think it's important to look at these projections. You have to look at it holistically where okay, in 2018, we did make X. In 2019, we made X. 2020, we had no reason to think the world was basically going to end and we were going to be locked in our homes for now over a year. And now we're into 3 months, almost 4 months into 2021. But with the economy starting to go back, people are starting to go back to work, bars, restaurants, other businesses are opening, people are starting to take public transportation again. So I think we have to look at it in that sense that there's a lot of undermining factors that occurred last year that severely impacted some things, and hopefully they're not long-term forever impacts or there was a again I hope I don't want to live under a pandemic the rest of my life. I don't think anyone else does. And Alderman Reed, I was just speaking more in general just because it was brought up. I know you asked a question about revenue, so sorry I went on a little bit of a tangent, but I just wanted to preface some of where I was just going with that is I think we need to look at it, what happened last year and where we're at with okay, yeah, it was terrible, but we also can't, there's going to be bounce backs. There's going to be things that are going to come back, and the revenues that we did lose, we'll be able to make up hopefully through the money the federal government gave us and then through the economy reopening and people going back to work and things getting better, and we're just not going to be locked down for a year.
Could I jump in here real quick? So Chairman Donahue, when I asked these questions, I didn't just look at last year. I realized last year was COVID, and I realized that the numbers are possibly skewed. I went back to the year before, which was in one of the appropriations ordinances, I think was forwarded to us, I believe, from Marisol. It was in a draft. And I'm comparing not only this coming year with last year, the COVID year, but the year before, and there's still some wild disparities. I'm looking at account 3421 debt recovery. This year we're appropriating $185,000. Last year we collected $2,500. The year before we collected $21,000. That's just one example. There's a bunch more I could go into, which I really don't want to get into now. And I understand that there's money coming from the federal government. I get that. But my point is if these numbers aren't accurate as they should be, we shouldn't be cutting into that money for that. We should be using that money, if we do come up with shortfalls. But the fact of the matter is there's a lot of things in this appropriation that we've appropriated much more for than we have even 2 years ago when there was no COVID. So that's what my problem is.
I understand, Alderman, and again, I think it's the revenue projections, and we want to try and be. I agree with you. I agree we want to be close and accurate to them, but I think there's going to be times where you have no idea what the stuff's going to be. It's kind of like when we were talking last night with the lawsuits. We've put in more money just to be on the safe side, but again, we could spend only $300,000 of it, but we don't want to be caught flat-footed. So I understand what you're saying, but I also, again, as I was saying, that they're projections, and projections, obviously they could change. They could be less, they could be more. And I'm trusting what Chris did and the work of his firm
Kevin, they're guesses together. Is what they are. They're not projections, they're guesses. Some of these numbers are, I'm looking at commuter lot revenue, projecting 150 grand. Last year we collected 47,000. Give me a minute, I'll look and see what the year before was. 3941 is the account number. The year before we collected $5,829. Now we're projecting 150. That's way out of line. That's what my point is. I know what a projection is. I get it, that it's just a projection. And that's my point.
And Jim, and I think some of this, though, we really need someone to take a hard look to see how this money was being put towards these accounts, because I think that we caught that the money was coming in for this stuff, but it was being assigned to the wrong fund. So I think that's what a big problem is, because 2018 it was a disaster in the finance department. 2019 there was almost no one there. 2020 there was someone there, and it just never is the same issue. So I think there needs to be a hard, long look of making sure this money that's coming in for these things are actually being put into the correct column on the the sheet. And Jim, it goes back again. I'm not disagreeing with you on any of this. If we asked, I know you asked for these reports for months, and if we would have got this sooner or had a chance to look at it sooner, it would have been easier to catch. I can't speak to why we got it. I'm just kind of theorizing kind of what I think's going on this.
Okay, well, you think what you think, and I will think what I think, and obviously we're not going to agree on this, but I think these numbers are inflated, and we shouldn't go with such high revenues.
Anybody else?
Yes,
Alderman Rita?
Alderman Rita, yeah. So the last appropriation took steps to limit corporate legal spending. Does this budget actually reflect that with the legal bills?
Yeah, you know, Alderman Rita, if you give me 1 second, so I ran out of paper when I was printing today.
That's okay.
But no, hold on. I can give you. I think it was close. I think last year we did like 285,000 for corporate legal. I think this year's 300,000. So if you just give me a second just to scroll, I could double, triple check that for you. So hold on. Oops, I keep pulling up the wrong one. I got two. I got public works. I got as far as that, but I'm 20 pages short. So hold on. Let me. Here's Lori. Hold on. Now I can't find it.
That's okay. And then I had another question about, is there a raise for all non-union personnel?
So there's a 3% across the board raise for all non-union personnel. The only two big raises are I'm saying the term big, but the police chief and the fire chief. Last year we bumped them from like 92 or 93 to 98,000. This year they wanted 115,000. We bumped it from 98 to 105 to bring some parity. And we eliminated but we did eliminate, they both wanted deputy chiefs. We eliminated both the deputy chief positions in this appropriation, which helps offset that as well.
Okay, so there isn't anything else more built into this besides the typical 3%, except for, I'm sorry, you said the two chiefs, correct?
The two chiefs. So every other non-union personnel will be receiving a 3% raise. The police and fire chief, it's 98. So whatever 7,000 they're getting $7,000 more for their raise. And it's just to get them up to parity with surrounding towns, because that was something where last year they wanted it to go from 93 to 115. And that was a big jump, we thought. So we thought if maybe we could try and do it in smaller increments. And again, they came back to ask for 115, and the committee agreed that 105 was where we could land at this year.
Okay, and then rounding back to my initial question, I was just asking in regards to the report that you guys kept asking for revenue and expenditure. I wasn't, if you guys ever were able to obtain that, that's all, from the mayor and his administration.
We were able to, but again, it was convoluted and
okay,
and it wasn't accurate. And when we were going through it last week, that's where we started piecing this together. That some of the things weren't adding up. But then when Chris went through it further, he was able to see. So we got it, but we got it much later than requested.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else?
Alderman, I'm sorry. I finally found it. So let me just pull up the general government really quick. So we did in legal bills, legal notices. One second, Alderman. I'm sorry. I'm still having trouble finding this. 1 second. So here, so 6640, Alderman Rita. Actually, so we did 174, just under 175 in 2020. Well, that was the actual. So we budgeted 150, we spent 174, and then for fiscal year 2021, we've appropriated 180,000, and that's for the legal fees, which are the corporate legal fees. That's not the lawsuit legal fees. That's the corporate legal. So they were close. It was 20,000, 25,000 over. So we just bumped it to 180 to round it up. So it's right there.
Anybody else?
This is Alderman Steve. I have a question for Alderman Donahue, Chairman Donahue.
Go ahead.
The alderman salary for the next 4 years will remain the same as it is now. Is that correct?
Yes, Alderman, that's a great question. And it was something we fixed too. In the original draft document, it showed that the alderman salaries would just be 50% for the next year, but we still had to pay out 5 months of the aldermanic salaries for fiscal year 2021. So next year is when you'll see the alderman salaries will just be $6,000 per alderman.
And that's the same as we're getting right now.
That's the same. Yeah, we did not pass. I believe you have to do it within 180 days or 175 days. You have to pass an ordinance. We did not do that. So the aldermanic salaries are staying the same as they've been on the last 4 years and the 4 years prior.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? If not, we'll need, I guess a motion for adjournment.
Close it.
Mayor, I think Randy said you could just close it because we never opened up.
Okay, then we'll adjourn this meeting, public notice meeting of House Notice of Appropriations. Thank you, everyone.